Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to ZBrush Live. This is ZBrush hard surface design and character design with Ara, and yeah, so we are starting a whole new season today, and yeah, we have the dilemma of the blank canvas here, which is kind of a fun dilemma to have, I guess. And we're going to be starting a new project. So just to get us going, if you folks can let me know if you can hear me okay. And that's the best way to do that, of course, is, and the only way to do it, is in the chat. So if you could let me know in the chat if you're on YouTube or on Twitch, if you can hear me and see my screen okay, we can get started. I'm just going to use this opportunity to clean my glasses, and then we can get going. How's everybody doing tonight or today? It's evening here, but I'm sure it's all over the world. It's different times. I've got a world clock up so that if you tell me where you are from, I can kind of figure out what time it is where you are. All right, we've got quite a few people. Always appreciative for when you guys join me live because it makes the sessions a lot more interactive and fun, and also it's good because you get to ask questions and interact, and you know, maybe get your name mentioned in the stream. And yeah. Okay, so thank you, Dragon21 Studios on YouTube. I guess I'm good. I'm assuming I'm good on Twitch. If people have issues, they will let me know. All right, so I'm kind of confused as to what to do. I'm thinking of doing another mech. So that's kind of my primary idea that I have. So I think that's what I'm going to go with. And hopefully this will not be a very long season, but we'll see. So anyway, I always like to start with a cube, and I think this is kind of important to mention because a lot of times people start ZBrush and they start ZBrush in however ZBrush starts. They don't start in edit mode like this. So one of the things that I do every time I get ZBrush installed, a new version or a new update or whatever, besides customizing my menu, I basically go into the this Z plugin, which I think was written by Joseph Drust. It's called Z Startup Utility, and with that utility I can store a lot of different things. So one of the things that I store is the canvas, and here I'm actually going to have to change that. So I will go here to document and window size and new document, no, and so there's the new document. And usually if I'm streaming, I'm doing 1080p, so I usually like to double the size of that document. And then click on AA half over here, which is anti-alias half, which means it basically shrinks the document down so that it fits the window, right? So if I zoom out, this is the canvas. And let me change the background color because it kind of looks like, here we go. So I'll just make it a lighter gray. So this over here is the canvas. And if I zoom to actual size, this is what it is. So it's actually a lot bigger than what I'm seeing here. But if I press AA half, it fits it into this area. So it's kind of double the size. And if I want to know exactly how big my document is, I can just go to document here, and these are the coordinates. So it's, or the resolution, it's 2620 by 1460. Okay. So what's nice about this utility is that it allows you to save everything. And then I basically initialize a QCube, and that's done over here by initialize QCube. And then so in these settings, one of the options here is to store the current brush. And usually I start with the ZModeler brush, and I don't know why this is on standard, but I'll go to ZModeler. I usually start with the ZModeler brush, and I usually start in this kind of setting. And I start in edit mode, so I don't have to press F, or, you know, I don't have to do any of that. I store the current material, which I usually don't use the red wax. I usually start with the startup material or basic material. That's usually what I do. Lately I've been liking this Monster Clay Gray a lot, so I'm going to switch to that. And then I start in edit mode again, as I said. Current tool, this is the most important one. So it starts me out with a cube and not a, you know, whatever. So I always like starting with a cube. And I always like starting with a cube that has polygroups. So it has polygroups in every single dimension, so X, Y, and Z. And this is just a little kind of power tip here of how to kind of, when you start your ZBrush session, to just kind of get going fast. Especially if you're doing hard surface. If you're doing sculpting, you might start with a sphere or something else, right? But it basically saves you a lot of time when you just start ZBrush and have to go, all right? And this utility does not come with ZBrush. It is free. You can download it from. You can just look it up: Z Startup Utility, ZBrush, and it's probably some Maxon link. I knew I had a link to it when it was Pixelogic, but since they became Maxon, I think they're kind of shifting web stuff around. So. But it's not hard to find, and if you guys want me to find it for you, I can. Okay, so with that, I'll just get started, and sometimes I kind of like to start with a pre-made kind of skeleton, and I think I did that in the first season. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and go to, let's see if I can find it so I don't have to do all the different steps to create it again, but I won't spend too much time. If it's there and it's easy to get, I'll just get it, and if it's not, then I'll just start from scratch. If anybody wants me to start from scratch, like if that would be more helpful to you, I'm more than happy to do that as well. I don't care. But let me see here. ZBrush Season 1 Robot. And... Wow, did I back this thing up? Let me try something else here. Maybe I saved tools at that time. All right, this is looking like I'm starting from scratch, but I'll give it one last kind of go here. See if I can find it. I was going to do this earlier, but it's kind of been a long day. Okay, yeah, no. All right, I think I might have backed it up. All right, so we'll just start from scratch. And I will kind of not do the skeleton. And what I mean by the skeleton is I usually just create something with ZSpheres as a kind of a starting point. And I'm not going to do that just yet. Let me, I'm so sorry to do this to you guys, but I've got one other place I can look. And let me see if I can find it. I might have archived it, and I do have a link to my archive, so I can try and find it there. All right, where are you? Because it'll be cool to kind of see what I mean by that, and if you guys want me to recreate it, I can. All right. Hey, Dragon, welcome, and good to have somebody from Chicago. God, I haven't been there for ages. Project. Here we go. Completed. So yeah, I mean, my workflow always, it's always, I try to always optimize and save myself steps if I can. And for this model, like my intention was at some point to go ahead and save a version of it so that I could load it later. And for some reason I didn't do it, or maybe I did it and I don't know where I saved it to. But I will do a couple of attempts here. Right, so it's not in this folder, so it has to be over here. Yep. Yeah, again, sorry for taking so much time to look for this. if I maybe backed this thing up or I called it something else, or yeah, I can't find it. All right, no worries. So basically, the way I would do it is I would just go to load a ZSphere like this one over here, and for ZSpheres, I would go into the unified adaptive skin here. Yeah, here, let's do it. Right, so the thing about ZSpheres, the best thing you can do is always activate symmetry and create two spheres. This is the home sphere, so it kind of causes issues if you delete this one, and it's always good to have two spheres on each side. And then if you go to adaptive skin, you get that. I always try to bring the density down to 1, bring dynamic or dynamesh down to 0. So this is what I get. Like I get, relatively good geometry here. Or topology for what I need. So let's say that's the head, and this would be the neck, right? And then the neck would go down to maybe here, and then pressing A to see what I'm getting here. Maybe put another ZSphere over here. Press A again. Okay, so I mean, I'm not really going to use this geometry. I'm just kind of looking to see how this would work, and I'm not really going to use this method. I'm just showing it because I think somebody mentioned that it would be interesting to see what my method would be. So here I want something this size, right? I want the sphere this size over here, and the way to get that is to go to draw it out, and then press shift, and then you'll get a sphere the exact same size. Right, so then I'm just going to move this back like that, and etc. etc. Now the thing that I usually do is I go to use classic skinning over here, and then I insert a local mesh and I insert a connector mesh. So basically what I do is I have, and I don't know why these are not activated right now. I think I actually need to have, and I think I do. Let's see. Let's go to Polymesh 3D here. I think I have that cube. At least I should be able to use that cube. All right, so let's go back to these Z-spheres here, and let's go again to adaptive skin. Again, use classic skinning here. And do I need to bring these down? I forget what the actual thing is. There's one thing I'm probably missing somewhere. That I'm doing incorrectly. So anyway, the thing I'm looking for is for these two to light up, and I don't know why they're not lighting up. I don't know if I maybe need more of these, or I think I should be having enough. Maybe the density needs to be more. I don't think that's it. It's one of these guys over here. No. Yeah, I don't know why it's not working. I don't know if there's an issue with it with ZBrush or what. Oh, you know why? It's probably because I need to be in a certain mode. So if I'm in move mode, I still can't do it. What if I'm in create mode, draw mode? All right, yeah, I don't know. I think, oh, here we go. All right, so now it works. Okay, so basically, I guess I need to be on a sphere. That was the problem. Okay, so then what I could do is, let's say I want these connectors in the connector mesh to be this cube. Okay, so now that is going to be, the connector mesh is going to be a cube. And so as I move this out, right, it basically will be a cube instead of the Z-spheres. And then also what I could do is I could say, okay, I want to insert a local mesh, and I want that to be the cube as well. So now I've got the cube here, and the connector mesh should be the cube as well. Maybe it doesn't like having both be the same. Maybe not. Okay, so let me go here. Oh, it seems like it's okay. So yeah, and then I just basically work myself. So that's basically over here. That's going to be a local mesh. I'll insert the cube there. right? So I've got a cube over here, and there's this cube over here. And so it goes from being these spheres to actually being this kind of a robotic but manipulatable object. And, so I just go to the connectors, and I'm just inserting cubes here. Insert local mesh, cube, insert connector mesh, cube as well, right? So I have that, and then there's just this big one in the middle, and local mesh, cube as well. And I don't know where the one over here is, but I think maybe this doesn't really belong up here. Yeah, here we go. That's down here. And then, yeah, insert local mesh cube. So it's all cubes now, and as I collect on these, I can just kind of make them be a different way. And I am going to actually do that. I'm actually going to see if there's anything I can get with this that seems interesting. But anyway, the goal is I built one of these already, that's already built, and I just wanted to use that one, and for some reason I can't find it. There's one last place I will look, and if I see it, then that might help us quite a bit. Okay, so let me see here in models, starters, and ZSphere mech. You know what? I do have it. Yes. Awesome. I found it. Haha. Right. So this will make this will kind of show you a finished version of what's on the screen. And instead of going through and doing all the different steps, I just have it done. And I knew that I'd saved it for the future, but here we go. Okay, so you can see I've got a character in here. So I'm going to hide the character, and this is what I want. Now, this is a ZSphere rig. So what that means is that I can go in here and go to rotate and start rotating this thing. And so basically this is just like a mannequin I have now, and basically that's what mannequins are, but I just have this kind of robotic exoskeleton or skeleton that I can start building from, right? And this is all built on ZSpheres. The one over here is kind of the central sphere, and then all these other ones. And one thing that I'd forgotten that is a best practice also is that in this one, I just have these cubes are just, they just have one span. And usually I like to have these be multiple spans. And to do that, all I have to do here is just go over here and subdivide this cube once. So this is kind of the cube that I would want, right? Something like this, where it actually has subdivisions. And if I go in here and I'll just add another ZSphere going this way, and another one here. So notice here that it's putting in the previous one, but if I want to change it, I just go in here to adaptive skin again, and go over to use classic skinning, insert local mesh. And for this one, I'm going to reinsert that cube, but notice now that cube has 4 spans. And the reason why this is better is because it gives you a little bit of room to kind of model and gives you a little bit more options to kind of do the things you want to do. Okay, so what I want to do here is I'm not going to have fingers on this robot. Or should I have fingers? I don't know. I'll leave that. But I want to do a little bit of a different design, so I can just go in here and go to, all right, so W to move, or this up here to move the ZSpheres, and I'm just going to start moving these around and just kind of getting more or less the type of shape that I want for this mech, right? And I want this to be forward a bit like this. So I'm just basically developing a kind of a stance for this, starting point for my mech. And again, you know, I was telling you guys about starting with a blank canvas, which can be intimidating, but this is definitely less intimidating to me. All right. Let's see, any questions? Nothing on the question list, and the viewers are more than they were before, which is great. With ZSpheres, it's a good idea to just have your brush size be like 1, so that you know you can move things around and precisely, and you know, your focal shift, you can change that as well. All right, so here I'm just kind of getting to a point where I'm determining what I want this to look like. And again, I don't really need all of these cubes. I'm just kind of getting to a point where like there's certain ones that I might get rid of at some point, but right now I'm just getting the overall shape of my mech down. Hey, Jewelry Hustlers Corner, welcome. If you are a jeweler, this is more kind of like science fiction and you know, concept design, but there are people that do jewelry design on ZBrush Live. So if you subscribe to the channel, you can experience some of that. All right, but welcome aboard. Good to have you on live. All right, I'm just kind of going through some reference images here, looking at different things that might work. Now, what's nice about this is I can also add and delete. So if you are in draw mode, so draw mode up here, or Q on the keyboard, if you press Alt, you can get rid of stuff too. Like I don't really, I'm not going to have a very elaborate head for this thing. So I'm just going to stick with this for a head. I do have symmetry on. And again, I'm just looking for a startup shape. Now this is one way I start with making a mech. Another way I start is talked about in depth in my Gnomon workshop, designing a piloted combat mech. And if you guys are interested in that, I'll just go to a web page here and show it to you. Where is it? Where are you? Web page? I have way too many windows open. Got a reminder telling me that this is going to happen. Cool. Yep. Oh, I didn't want to do that. No. Okay. And sorry about that. Okay, where is that browser window? Here it is. Okay. Yeah, and the thing I was talking about is if you go to the Gnomon workshop, and up here you go to Browse by Instructor, and you find me under the I and L. There I am. If you click on me here, I've got 2 tutorials that I've made for them. One of them is this one, which is designing a pilot combat mech. Now this one I did a little bit differently because I used VR, and I do use VR initially, like here, to go ahead and conceptualize what I'm going to create. So that's one way to kind of beat the blank canvas for me. And another one is what I'm doing here, which is basically starting with this kind of a skeleton and building up from that. And the skeleton actually is based on a Japanese endoskeleton. So it is a skeleton that basically people purchase and add mech pieces to it. So I just made a kind of a replica of something like that. It's got double jointed elbows, and it also has double jointed knees over here and ankles as well. So I can do all sorts of stuff. And I don't need to just move stuff. I can also scale stuff. So for example, I want this kind of part to be heavier up here. So I can just go to E for scale, and then just start with over here and just scale this up. And I'm going for humanoid, but not humanoid this time. I'm going for something a little bit more kind of exaggerated. And I want to have long legs. There was this movie that I watched that had these mechs in it that was really, really good. I always kind of pump myself up to whenever I need to make a mech. I usually watch that quite a bit. Just to get it going. Right, so I'm just kind of fattening up these legs a bit. So yeah, it's going to be kind of a chunky, kind of, you know, heavy mech. Now you see these kind of start taking a pyramid shape. That's because I scaled the bottom ZSphere, but not this one. So let's do this top one as well. And get that back into a square shape. And again, I don't really have anything in mind right now. I'm just kind of blue sky experimenting. And this is what I meant about you want your brush size to be small so you can do this kind of stuff, right? So I just want this to be a bit chunky. I want this to be a bit chunky over here. So I'm just kind of exaggerating these. And notice that the ZSphere pops up. I make it bigger and then it goes away. So, you know, like maybe something like this, but I want this to be further out this way. Put this in. Figure out a good gesture. Again, this might not be the final gesture, but it's kind of a way I'm starting. And I can't resize these things in kind of a, I mean, the only way I can resize it so it becomes thicker in any direction is if I make the Z-spheres bigger, and sometimes that is proportional and sometimes it's not. So something like this. Again, I don't really want to have a really big head, but I'm just kind of, I brought that out of the way. I kind of want to have a really low profile head, and this would be something, I don't know, like, you know, some sort of a robot that you know, will stop a riot, or maybe, you know, stop a bank robbery, or stop I don't know, maybe be a protection robot, something like that. Okay, so this is kind of a good start for where I want. Now I want to get this as a mesh, right? So I don't want to, you know, I have it as a Z-sphere model, and I do have a man here for reference. So if this was a dude standing on the ground, it would, you know, this mech will be taller. So I'm just going to move this to the side as reference. So it's going to be kind of a bigger mech, you know, kind of street smart, kind of street walking mech. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to take this and make a copy of it, but not, so I'm going to duplicate this. So I've got a duplicate of it, and then I'm going to go down here to adaptive skin, and I'm going to make adaptive skin density. I want that to be 1. IRes intersection resolution is 6. I don't know if that matters, but let's see if I just click make adaptive skin what I get. All right, so when I clicked on this, it actually made another tool somewhere, and this is that tool. This is no longer a Z-sphere, so I can't like do what I was doing before. I can't pose it, I can't do anything with it. This actually is geometry, so I'm just going to copy this and paste it into my original scene. I think there's a way to do this so it does paste it in here, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to hide these two. I don't need them. I've got 2 copies of the Z-sphere version, and then I've got this one, which is not Z-spheres, but actual geometry. The thing about it when you do this is it puts a semi-sphere where that center sphere was, the center Z-sphere. And so I'm going to get rid of it. I don't need it. So I'm just going to go to delete island and delete this island. My cat is very curious and is interesting to kind of watch me. So she's at my desk. Here, you want to say hi? Oh, there she is. So she is very much into interrupting me when I work. All right. So here, now this is pure geometry. So that means I can actually go in here and start doing QMesh and doing ZModeler stuff with it. But this is kind of what I'm starting from. Yeah, Gundam is awesome. Gundam is a big inspiration for me. There's so many other ones too, by the way. Gundam is good. Pat Labor or Pat Labor, I don't know how you pronounce it. That's a really good one. Evangelion is really good. Yeah. Yeah. The iPad version is going to get ZModeler. I'm super excited about that. When they announced that, I just lost it. So I'm super excited to see this kind of capability on the iPad as well. It just means I can do more offline. All right, so here I'm just trying to use ZModeler just to kind of get some shapes in. Now this is also all one subtool, which is okay for now, but pretty soon I'll start breaking it up. Okay, I'm just trying to see here. Maybe I don't need this. Okay, maybe something like that. And then I'm going to use slide. And let's do edge loop partial, and let's bring this in like that. Now notice here that this is kind of not coming in symmetric, which is fine. You can always do mirror and weld. But I don't know why it's not coming in symmetric. That's weird. All right, and mirror and weld. Okay, of course it always does the other way. Okay, this is kind of what I wanted. All right, and then let's get rid of that and see what that looks like. So here I'm just kind of adding and I actually didn't like what I did there, so I'm just adding and subtracting form, and I'm just going to slide a point here. Hello. I need a little bit of a radius for that, and I want the point to go this way. And again, I don't really want to be that precise for with what I'm doing right now. And is this in the center? Okay, something's off about this. I don't know why. Okay, let's just turn symmetry on for a second. Put this over here. Put this over here. I'm gonna do a mirror and weld of the whole thing just to kind of make sure that I'm even on both sides, and I'm going to check and see if I was. Looks okay, and we'll just start doing it this way. And I want to make sure local symmetry isn't on because I don't want that at this point. And I'm just going to continue to do work here. And what I want to do is I want to Q-mesh flat island here. Forward, do it one more time. And then what I want to do is I want to Q-mesh this poly loop this way out, because this thing's going to have like some sort of a front that is, you know, more or less enforced. Now I just want to work on this part. I could separate it out, or I could just kind of do this, which is I just selected it and just Control-Shift-A would just kind of isolates it to this part. And now I don't really have to deal with all the other parts. I can just do this and Q-mesh poly loop. That's actually not bad. And let's bring everything back. So again, just Control Shift and tap brings everything back. And I'm going to slide just edge over here and bring this part in. Let's see. Let's turn symmetry back on. And then I'm just going to select this whole thing again and rotate it downwards like that. All right, it's always good to have the dude there just to kind of, you know, make it more feasible. Okay, so there's kind of the front part of this, and then let's go ahead and work on these thighs or legs over here. I kind of want it to have a centerpiece. So what's nice about this is like it's got pieces like this one here or this one. I'm probably this piece right here or this piece right here. I don't know if I need to use it where it is. Well, this one's actually all of that, but I'm going to choose this piece right here. And I'm going to move it down. And you know, another trick is like if I want to work on this with the other stuff, I just mask it and bring everything back and then invert the mask. So now all I do is what just happened. Okay. Just want to mask this piece and bring everything back, invert the mask. And I should just. Sometimes it's kind of with a tablet, it's hard to do that tap. I think I have it down, but it's not bad. Okay, so I don't know why this is kind of separating up from. I don't know if there's something else that's being selected or what the deal is. All right, let's do this one more time. I think I might have inadvertently selected something else. Mask it, bring everything else, invert the mask. And I should be able to just pull this thing down by itself. Nope, somehow it wants to stay with what's on top. I don't know why, but I will find out. Okay, so I don't know if it's attached to something up here. Could that be it? Yeah, everything seems to be attached to something. No, this is no longer. Yeah, it's just its own mesh. All right, well, I mean, it's always a good idea to do a check mesh just to see, oh, see, here we go. Contains 30 edges that are shared by more than 2 polygons. Okay, that's the problem. Let's fix it. And that fixes the mesh. And this fix mesh and check mesh are in geometry at the bottom. So mesh integrity, and these are the two things. So you can just get them. I have a fix mesh all, which is from a plugin that I bought, so it's helpful. And if you guys want me to find out what it is, I can. So here we go, and all right, so now I should not have the problems I was having before. I should be able to do what I was doing, which is select this, Control-Shift-A, mask it, bring everything back, invert the mask, and move that down. Somehow it's still connected to stuff it's not supposed to be connected to. Right, let's do this one more time. Check mesh. Okay, it seems like it's okay. So why is it still thinking it's connected to stuff? All right, so the way to fix this, and I think I know what's going on, is that like there is a line here and another line, and somehow this point got welded over here. So I wonder if this works. If I just do this and mask it and then unmask and bring everything back and let's see if this kind of, okay, yeah, see there's 2 points that are actually connected. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this out, and the way to, I mean, I was going to do that eventually later anyway. So let's make a copy of this, and let's take this one, put it in a folder. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and say split to similar parts. Just show everything. Split to similar parts. Okay. It says it's not composed of multiple parts. So are all these connected somehow? All right, something weird happened there where there's a lot of connections. So how to solve this problem? Let's see. I think there's a weld and unweld in geometry. I think that's what happened, is that points were too close and somehow they inadvertently got welded. Okay, still the integrity test is good. So here I'm going to go under geometry and modify topology, and I think this weld distance might be too close. So what I'm going to do is there unweld, weld points, Unweld all. Let's see. Unweld groups border. No. Unweld all seems to be kind of a risky thing to do, but I'm going to do that. And what I'm going to do here is just select this and do that. Yeah, Control Shift A is bring everything back. Okay, so I don't know where the welding happened, but there has to be a way to do it. And I think the way I'm going to do it is, let's see here. All right, I think I know what to do. All right, so if you encountered this, you can just hit Control Shift A. I'm going to go all the way back to before we copied this. I think go to the previous one and work myself back to here. And what I want to do here is start seeing if I can do this. And then, so I'm just going to duplicate this whole thing, put this in a folder, same as what I did before. Folder, one, only type. All right, and then what I'm going to do here is go to over and say split hidden. Okay, so now I've got everything but that part, and so now I can just pick these two, Control Shift A, and then Control Shift X. All right, so here's one that's kind of a problem child. There's like this other piece in the middle here, which I don't really want. I want these two. Okay, so again, split hidden. All right, so this is what's left. Okay, so yeah, see, there's this thing over here, which I don't know why it's there. It's probably one of the pieces, but I don't need that one, so I'm going to delete that one. And I wonder if the split to parts will work now. Let's see, split to similar parts. Okay, yep, here we go. Okay, so now we basically at least have a little bit more of this as a part. Okay, so now I've got this, and I can just kind of do this. So what I'm doing is hitting Control Shift A, Control or split hidden. Split hidden is in the same place we were before under Modify Topology. So or delete hidden is here. I'm sorry, split hidden is under split. And that's why I have my own menus, because I have all those together, because I think of those as a pair. So if I have my quick menu here, I have delete hidden and split hidden right next to each other, because to me, again, those are two kind of similar functions. And split hidden. And all these things make you a lot faster in ZBrush and allow you to get stuff done a lot faster. Again, so now I just have the hands by themselves. I have all the arm pieces, and then I think the legs, it kind of put them all in one as well. So again here, select this one, split hidden, this one, and let's see what's left. And I'm going to try, as soon as the middle part is kind of separated out, I'm going to try and see if this will split into separate parts. And as you can see, this one kind of has a little thing in the middle too that we didn't want. Probably happened when I mirror and welded it. It looks like this is all welded into one piece, which is fine. It doesn't matter if it's 2 or 1. So I'm just going to do one more split hidden. And then here are the legs, and there's that middle part. Looks like it mirror and weld gave my robot genitals. All right, delete that. And now we have these two, and again, I'm going to see if split to similar parts works on this, and doesn't seem to be doing anything. Okay, I'm going to mirror and weld it, and I think maybe mirror and weld is kind of causing this problem where if there are points that are close by, it's welding them. It's creating kind of welds. Okay, delete hidden. And then there are the last two parts. Did I say delete hidden? I don't want to do that. I want to say split hidden. Okay, and then there are these parts right here. Two more of these operations and I'm done. Split hidden, and then I'm going to keep these as one piece for now. All right, so now I've got the whole thing, and if I just bring all these back up, a really fast way to do this is if you click one of these guys and shift click, it shows all of them. Of course, I don't want anything that's up here. And for this one, just so I'm not confused, I'm going to make sure that it's all visible for this one, right? And because that's what it was, and I don't really need to see these first three. This is kind of where I'm going to work from this point forward. Okay, so now that I've got these separated out, I can just I'll click on each one, and again I'm just going to use ZModeler to go in here and kind of get what I want. So here, oops, I want to QMesh flat island, something like this, and then I want to QMesh this poly loop out, something like that. And so yeah, this thing is kind of more of a, you know, it's like a brawler, so it has a lot of defenses. It probably is going to encounter mechs similar to it, so it knows how to defend itself from that. And I'm just going to slide these in like so. Maybe bring, oops, just QMesh to flat island again. Something like that. Okay, so these are basically arm shields that the mech has. And what I'm going to do here is insert a couple of edge loops like so, and then just QMesh these two out. Oops. Something like that, and just oops, slide these down. To something like that. And I just noticed something really weird over here where I'm getting this kind of shadowy effect, and I don't know if it's because if there's anything else that's visible. Oh man. I was not working on this, I was working on this one on top. All right, well, I really like this, so I'm just going to, you know, to save my work, I'm just going to do the Control-Shift-A here, and it's just hold this whole piece. And I'm going to copy and paste it over here. Now this pasted the whole mech in, which is not what I want. So I'm just going to do this and just delete hidden. All right, so I just have that. And okay, so now I've got this. In addition to what I had before, I've got these kind of little shields here on the side. Okay, and then for this part over here, I have a completely different idea of how I want to do this. I want it to be flat, wide, flat. Now it's getting this diamond shape, which is not what I want. So a quick way to kind of fix that is I'm just going to select these top polygons. Actually, there's different ways of solving this problem. I'm going to use ZModeler. Just delete poly loop, this one and this one, and delete these two. So I just have that bottom part, and then which I know it's there. If I turn double on, I see it. And I just want to QMesh this thing out. QMesh all polygons and just get that to be, so now it's just the same size, which is what I wanted. And what I'm going to do here is turn double off. Okay, so this is kind of a problem because I'm seeing the inside and not the outside, but it's a problem that easily is fixed by going to display properties and flip, and oh, wrong target, what the heck? Does this thing have a morph target? Delete. Yeah, I don't know why it has a morph target. Okay, so now it's fixed. QMesh polyloop. And so I'm just kind of creating this outside part here. And I just want this to be more of a kind of a mech more like this. I don't know about you guys, but I enjoy doing this and have more control than typing stuff in as a prompt. So I'll do my obligatory AI bash. I was getting into it with somebody online who, you know, it's so funny. It's like there's an evolution cycle to people find, you know. So just like me, like at first, you know, like, oh, AI is just another tool. It's great. You know, it allows you to do things you were never able to do before, and blah, blah, blah. You know, and it's such great technology. And look, you know, I'm making cool stuff. And then, you know, you slowly start understanding how the sausage is made. And you know, kind of start doing some research into what actually is going on. You start encountering all the limitations and everything. So, you know, I kind of don't want to burst their bubble while they're in that kind of initial honeymoon stage of like, oh, wow, look at this. It's so cool. I can just type robot and get a robot and it looks really good. And I could never make that in ZBrush or anything else. And now I'm an artist too. Oh, so good. Tech bros. You know, used to be cool to be a tech bro. Now it's like a fucking joke. Pardon my French. Okay, so what's going on here? Yeah, the hidden birds in my... I know exactly what you're talking about. Dragon Studios. No, that used to be a nightmare. All right, I'm trying to kind of not get these. I'm starting to... I just want to do primary shapes if I can get away with it today. So I'm trying to not get this to be... you know, it's really kind of fun to start getting and digging into the details, but I don't want to do that. All I want to do is make sure that I am... getting the primary shapes to work today. And so I have a lot of inspiration for this thing from like artists like Aaron Beck or yeah, he did a really good design for this movie that this, I think, Portuguese or Spanish company made a long time ago. And, you know, I don't know, like nothing came of it, which sucks because it was really, really good. And I don't know, like, why nobody's able to make a movie with that property because it seemed like a really interesting concept. Yeah, but that company, you know, I don't know if that company is even still around or the bunch of people that came together and did that or what happened. But, you know, it was really hot and then people forgot about it. I think I have a link to it somewhere, so next time I will show it if I find it. All right, so let's work on these parts. Again, all I'm doing here is just working on primary shapes. That's all I'm doing. Just getting the proportions, getting kind of the overall look, and you know, I'm not worrying about posing this thing. I'm not worrying about anything except just getting the, you know, blocking out the existing ideas that I have. And, you know, I have reference and I have some ideas, but a lot of this is exploration as well. You encounter happy accidents and you know, it kind of drives your design. And in the initial stages, you have time. Like if I'm working on a project, initially, in the initial stages, I do have time to play around a little bit and get some ideas for the types of things that are possible. Sometimes I do present these and get feedback, and sometimes I don't even do that. It's just, you know, it's just for my edification, I guess. Right? So that looks okay. Right, and I want this bottom part to kind of taper, so I'm just going to I'm going to hide the hands. They're getting in the way, so I'm just going to go down here. Where are they? Here they are. All right. And what I want to do is I want to take these and make them tapered. Like, there are different ways of doing that. Initially, you know, it's funny because before I started this process, I was going to do this by sliding the edges, but decided to do it this way. All right, so that piece kind of looks okay, and then let's pick this one over here and move it down, maybe like this. And there it is. Now, a lot of concept design is not done this way, unfortunately. A lot of concept design is done in 2D, and then they give the 2D thing to a 3D artist and tell them, hey, can you make this? And I don't know. I think companies think that they save time by doing that. I personally don't think they do. I think they kind of catch that at the back end, where like 3D artists are like, well, what does this thing look like from the back, or what is the, how does this work, and you know, and that, you know, them and the 2D artists can go back and forth. And the thing with 2D art also is, like, you know, once it's done, it's kind of difficult to iterate on the same concept. So yeah, I think oh, cat's back. My kawaii cat is again curious as to what's going on. She's been sleeping all day, so she's all ready to get into some trouble. All right, cat, I know you have food, and I know your box is clean, and I know that all you want is some attention. And I'll be happy to give it to you, but not just now. All right. All right, just pull these out like this. And again, let's poly loop around them. Here's a happy accident. I didn't really expect it to do that, but that actually looks okay. Is that because it's all one piece? It is. Okay. All right, so I'd kind of not separated these out, but I will. Split hidden. All right, and then now I can attempt this one more time. Like that, and let's see, does that work? I don't think that's what I intended on doing. All right. Well, let's go back to here. All right, so I'm starting to get something. These here totally look like cubes. Right, and I don't know if I need these, right? So I'm just gonna put them somewhere else. So I'm just gonna put them in the back here for now. Just move them up to here. I don't have a neck, so maybe these can be the neck. Now, a nifty trick is if you bring these together and you mirror and weld, you get this middle part like so, and then I think you can delete an island here. Hey, cat. I wanted Now, one of the things that to make note of is I did that inadvertently. I went to an edge and clicked delete. You know, that's if I did that and clicked on somewhere, it would delete an edge. So I went back and clicked on do nothing, which I don't want it to delete an edge. And I'm going to see if this works. Delete these two. Yep. And so I've got this middle part now, which is its own piece, and I can use this as a neck. So I don't really need two cubes. I just needed some sort of a neck here, and this is going to do that for now. All right, and so once I start building this thing up little by little, eventually what I want to do is get to a point where I let's see, QMesh, flat island. Right, so it's kind of an interesting look here. I've been doing this for about an hour, and I've got pretty much a good idea of the type of look this thing is going to have. And let's take these two cubes. Are they connected? They are connected, and this is what I was talking about earlier, which was kind of an interesting thing. So what I'm going to do is, using the control key, I'm going to make a copy of this. All right, and these are going to be kind of like pods or something that have missiles or, you know, other kind of interesting things. I'm going to split the mass points. So this is its own piece, and then this one, I don't know if I need it to be that wide. There I used the clip curve to just make it smaller. And let's see, do I have a part here that I could use? I think I got, maybe there's this part right here. Okay, so these were on the arms where they were before. And what I want to do, I'm going to turn local symmetry on for this. And I want to move these, and not dynamic, but I want to, hello. Do have symmetry on local. There we go. I turned symmetry off. I think I need to be on the thing. Okay, here we go. All right, so these can kind of serve as, you know, pieces over here. Right. Something like this, maybe not as wide. Again, none of these cubes matter because they're probably going to be replaced by kit bash parts or something else, but you know, maybe they could be used. So sometimes I put in a little bit extra effort, like I'm doing here, just to get them to be in a good place. Right, so that these are probably going to be some sort of piston or something like that that's going to be in this area. Right, and then let's go over to this part over here and do the same thing we did up here, which is basically just doing QMesh flat island, pulling this out, then put QMesh poly loop, and doing this. Okay, so with this one, when I'm doing this, it gets to a point and then it just starts kind of hitting this bottom part. Let's see if masking helps. It does not. So the only way to make this not do that is I just need to move these polygons down. Like so. Okay, so now I can get it to do what I need it to do, which is, it's still going to want to do that. Okay. And the problem is it's wanting to do that over here. I don't know why. Let's see if there's something inside of this. Yeah, I think there might be something inside. No. All right, and for some reason, this time it worked fine. I don't know what happened, But okay, so this is what I wanted, and just kind of a protection area in the front, and I'm still going to use that slide to bring these in. Symmetry going. All right, so I've kind of got this mech here, and what I want to do is move it up so it is kind of aligned with the guy. I think it's a bit bigger than what I wanted it to be. So here I'm just going to go to all of polygons, and then I don't want the guy to change in size, so I'm going to do this. And now everything kind of moves. I'm going to use this line on the bottom to align these guys. And again, it's a very kind of rudimentary version of this robot, but you know, in about an hour, just by kind of using my existing ZSphere thing, which again you can make your own, I can entertain selling that. If anybody is interested, notify me and I'll be happy to let you have it for a nominal fee, the rig that I had. But you can also make it yourself. The cat's in my face. Hello. All right, I need to do work, so I need to figure out how to entertain yourself for a couple hours. Okay, so here we go, and what I want to do here is I want to insert an edge loop over here this way and see if I can do some interesting things over here. Move this up maybe, do this, do this. And again, I want this thing so that it can, you know, fire its ordnance or whatever, but have a very thin profile that will face the enemy, so that when it's being fired at, it's not getting hit. All right, so let me kind of go through some references here and figure out what kind of head I want this thing to have. And I apologize. I didn't do as much reference hunting as I wanted to initially, so I just kind of randomly picked some stuff. But as we get closer to finishing this thing, I will hone down my references. But I also wanted to have a free kind of a way to freely make these things and not have too much reference or interference from reference. But it's always good to look at the reference every once in a while just to kind of get you back on track. All right, and I just saw something that looked a little bit more interesting for the head, so I'm going to see if I can do that as well. And that is this front part here is sharper, and the whole thing is a little bit thinner as well. And again, the advantage of this thing is it could turn itself this way, so it has, again, you know, very little impact points. And I want this to be low to the head, so we don't really need that neck to be that long. All right. See, anybody saying anything? Nobody saying anything? Wow, we added another 15 people. Wow. Hello, welcome. Thank you for watching this live. Right. So that looks good. Now the legs are really big here and long. And I don't know if I want them to be that long, so let's go ahead and make them shorter. So again, I'm going to use the gizmo, go over here, move it down to about where I want to resize the legs from, which is about this point right here. And again, go to all subtools, and I just want to deselect all the top stuff. By the way, I probably lost the hands somewhere because they're bigger and they're somewhere else. But that's fine. I'm probably going to not use those hands, and if I do, I can easily move them to where they need to be. Okay, so now I've just basically isolated the legs, and I'm going to move down to here and get my gizmo situated. And I'm going to see if I can get them to be a little bit shorter and a little bit kind of out. And again, being able to do this kind of stuff is really helpful. I don't know if I can do this in Blender or any other tool. I wouldn't attempt it just because it's just so convenient to do it here in ZBrush. So for kind of quick concepting, I think it can't be beat. Right, so again, I'm using that clip curve, and I can get a lot done just by doing this. Let's see, what did I see this week? I watched The Gorge. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's actually an interesting sci-fi show on it stars the guy who was in Top Gun Maverick and the girl who was in the chess movie. All right. Okay, so, you know, I think the proportions are to my liking. And once again, this whole thing needs to move. Down. So yeah, I want it to be a little bit taller than a person, but not too tall. Kind of, you know, would probably be escorting a car or a motorcade or something. Kind of like those guards in Elysium. That was such a good movie. I have a hankering to watch it again. I haven't watched it for a while. It's very, very much what is going on right now in the world, and specifically in the US, is Elysium type of stuff. All right, this is kind of coming together pretty well, I think. So I'm going to move these in a bit. Oh, not everything, just these. All right, so I just want to make sure, like, the thing I'm looking for here, again, from a functionality perspective, so this has nothing to do with the design. I mean, it has everything to do with the design, but it has nothing to do with kind of the proportionality of it. But I'm looking at, like, okay, so this thing is going to be defending, right? And it is going to be something that's going to be in the forefront. You know, if there's a fight or something that breaks down, all the soldiers kind of back out or whatever, and this thing goes in front and does all the kind of the fighting. So I'm just looking at it like it's going to be taking bullets, and where it's taking bullets, I'm going to have these kind of plates over here that are going to be strong. There's going to be a lot of shielding, right? And if it's kind of looking from the front, it's going to be hard to hit it because it's got a very low kind of profile. And yeah. Which I think is part of the design of the in Star Wars and the in the Clone Wars, the you know, the whatchamacallits, what were they called, the kind of the Roger guys, forget what they're called. If anybody remembers in the chat, let me know. But basically those were the drones? No. What were they called? What were they called? All right, let's go to slide and edge loop partial. All right, right, so the head kind of, is not the, it's not like a human head. The controls probably for this thing are somewhere in the guts, in a very well protected area, so it doesn't get hit. But the head is probably some sort of radar and also some sort of a maybe like a solar panel or something that basically will get the energy. I don't know. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with what I got so far. Anybody have any questions? I'm going to take a little bit of a short break here, have a little bit of tea, and see if you guys are still with me. All right, quiet crowd today. Let's see here. It's so funny. If I have reference that's AI, it takes me a minute or two to like understand what the logic is of what it's built. Oh, sorry. It's been a long day, long week. Right. Yeah, because a lot of times, the AI image might look good from initially, but as you start kind of breaking it down with your eyes, it falls apart pretty fast. Like, symmetry is kind of weird, especially if it's not isometric. Somehow it's convincing enough. That's what's really wild. It's convincing enough for the prompt bros to go like, yeah, look at, I got this going on. All right, I'm still trying to find shapes here. I'm still trying to get something interesting happening. And here I'm going to move these forward, move edge. What else did I see? I watched that Star Trek movie. I don't know if you guys saw it, like something 31 or whatever. I wasn't really that impressed. It didn't seem to me like a Star Trek show. I think Star Trek is losing its kind of cachet, which was, kind of explaining and going through interesting topics, scientific topics with stories. And now it's just become really type of more of a I don't know. The Discovery to me was like a, just like a virtue signaling type of, overly done, overly exaggerated type of, type of a like a forced virtue signaling type of a thing. And I don't really, it was entertaining. I liked it. I didn't hate it, but I think it was like a little bit too heavy-handed. All right, so I'm getting a little bit of like, so this is starting to break up a little bit, which is fine. It doesn't really matter. And I think it might be a good idea for me to close this. And the best way to do it is to select these points. In the middle, squash these together. Just bring them together as far as you can, and just if you do mirror and weld, it'll just do it. And it's always good to press D afterwards to make sure that it went through okay, and it did, so that's good. Yeah, you can totally see this thing functioning. Now another idea that I had was to separate out the arms so that this thing up here is not really does not have anything to do with the arms. So I'm going to experiment with that and see if that works. So again, I'm going to go to all subtools and just select the arms, or I can also deselect all these other parts. Okay, so now I'm just moving the arms. Like, what if the arms were here, or you know, what if they were at the end of this? I think I kind of like it more when they're at the end of this. Maybe like that. I think that's kind of a more interesting look, rather than it being more like this. I think these shields would interfere with it. So I'm going to go out this way. And the other thing I also want to do here is maybe pick that piece. Is this all one? No, it's not. Okay. Oh, man. All right, I'll just do this one. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to pick these pieces and make a copy of them and put it over here. Okay, so this is kind of the thing that's going to be holding the arm together. You know, there'll be like a piston here and another one here, and it'll work that way. All right, again, let's check and see our silhouette. So today is just going to be a lot of this, and it's just basically blocking it out. It's just getting an interesting looking shape, and that's going to be the goal for today. The feet, I don't really think I want this type of a look, so I'm going to dig through my reference here to see if there are any feet that are interesting, and yep, there are a couple that I think might work. All right, let's do it. Okay, so here I'm just going to go to the feet, and I'm going to select these two and delete them. I don't need those, and then take this one, Control, create a copy of it, rotate it this way. And again, I don't really need this to be precise or anything, but I just want to get an idea of what the feet will be like. And oops. Here I'm just looking for proportion. And again, they're going to be nothing like what you see here, but I just want to get an idea of where there will be. And again, these robots are driven by some sort of, you know, artificial intelligence, so they will be able to balance on these kind of toothpicks. Right, so this is an interesting problem. I'm trying to use this clip brush to get the inside part, but since it's symmetrical, it's not working. So a way to do this is just start this way, and I think I want to invert this. Oh, didn't work. Let's try it one more time. Come in this way, come in this way, and this way. So what you want to do is you want to have it so that it doesn't intersect with this part, right? So you just start from here. Do this, and yeah, so that will work. I learned that from Ian Robinson, because the way I did it is I usually like got rid of one side and did the cut and then mirror and weld it again. That's 3 steps, and this is a little bit faster. And again, I'm not really caring about what this foot is looking like. I'm just looking to see kind of what volume whatever is going to take its place is going to have, and where it's going to be. Something like that. Let's flatten it up. And again, since we lost those legs, we still we got the model to change its size again. It kind of is starting to look like a praying mantis, which is kind of funny in a way. Right. So always check your proportions, always check your height. Always have a human there as reference to give you an idea of how this is going to work. And I think this is looking pretty good as a starting point for us. And don't want to do that. Let's go to this piece right here, turn that off. Split mass points. Okay, and I'm going to move this down to here. All right, so I kind of have a pretty good idea of what this thing is going to look like. You know, I heard that about lower decks, and it sounds like fun. I don't know. I guess if I'm kind of feeling like I definitely need to watch some if I need to watch some Star Trek and you know I can't find something in the old library, I guess I will do that. God, there's just so many streaming channels now, like I think those are on Paramount Plus or something like that, and then there's Peacock has its shows, and I'm waiting for a time when all these are going to consolidate. Like there'll be 2 or 3 of them that you pay for, and that's it, instead of like every studio having its own streaming channel. I think some of that's starting to happen already. Like Hulu and Disney are one. I think they always were, but they, you know, but you can get a bundle. But I think HBO and CNN are partnering up somehow. I see some of that happening, and yeah. So, but I would probably have to get some sort of a subscription to Paramount Plus or something like that to watch the lower decks. Unless they have them on another service. I think right now I only have 2. Are there anybody watch the new Marvel movie? I haven't seen it yet. I had a friend who was kind of mentioning that they wanted to get together and see it, so maybe I will see it soon. I don't know. It kind of, you know, I mean, it's getting to a point where it's not wanting to see the movie only, but it's wanting to see the movie in a theater, just because a lot of movies, it's nice to see it in a theater with IMAX or like some sort of capability. But a lot of movies are, you know, not worth the effort and the headache of going to a movie theater and getting tickets and dealing with all this stuff. I mean, I'm kind of lucky because I live in LA, so there are a lot of great movie theaters here, and it's a very kind of entertainment oriented audience. So I am fortunate in that way. But and I usually don't go to movies when, you know, like I don't go Friday nights or Saturday nights, or, you know, when it's like date night type of movie time. I usually go when there really aren't that many people. Right. Again, all I'm doing right now is just getting, blocking out the shapes, getting the gesture down, getting the different pieces that I'm going to have, and it's a great starting point. And honestly, this mech might not look like what it is right now. It might completely change as I move forward, but I've found that this is a great way to kind of get going. This and VR. VR is the other way. VR is a little bit faster just because I can, and with VR, like, I don't really do a lot of stuff. What I do is just use kind of the two, you know, like the block brush, you know, like just a cube brush, and I use it as additive and subtractive, so I can just kind of hack away at, just add form and erase form in a planar manner, and I really can get some interesting shapes fast. As a matter of fact, I don't know if they have the screen. Maybe they do. They don't. But I do have it in my Instagram. So what I do is I just kind of start like this, and this is using Medium, and the video is about Medium. Medium doesn't exist anymore. It's Adobe 3D Modeler. So you can see here, like, it's just these chatter of these cubes, like, and I just kind of get the form together. And I can get, like, you know, I can do 20 of these in like a couple of hours. And if you go to my Instagram, and you will have to do a little bit of scrolling, and you can kind of see another screenshot, which I don't know why they didn't choose to include it in the screenshots. I think it's a good one. But I'll get to it here eventually. As you can see, we've done a lot of work. This mech was done in a stream season. So if you guys are interested in seeing how a mech like this is made, you can go back in the YouTube channel of ZBrush Live and find it. And I'm just scrolling here. And this is the mech from the Gnomon workshop. And it kind of gives you more frame of reference that there are people in here, in this thing, and it moves like an insect. And it was a fun adventure. But where is... And this is the thing that we're working on now. This is what... That was the first season I ever did. And it was this mech. And I started exactly the same way I'm doing what I'm doing now. But why can't I find... Oh, here it is. So here, for example, I basically, if I get a topic that I have to work on, and I need to present multiple options, so these were all done in VR and brought into ZBrush and just kind of arranged this way. So I could just sit there, and the art director or the director, or, you know, whoever, production designer, can go there, go in here and say, like, okay, I really like A2. I think that's a good one. Or another person can say, well, I'd like B2. And so I can go in and actually zoom in on each one of these. And so here I'm giving them a lot of different options, and they can pick the one that they want. So, so yeah, I think, you know, VR is really good for that. But if I don't have VR, like if I'm on location, or they, you know, they just want me to give them maybe 1 or 2 options, not 10 or 15 or whatever, then I can just use this method to get something really kind of fast. I was working with a director on actually producer, not a director, on a Love, Death, and Robots pitch that they were going to do. And this is exactly what we were doing. Now, it was tough because I told them, that I could be doing this work while they're watching, and they could give me guidance as to the way they want it to go. But some directors and some people like doing that, and some people just want you to come with, like, you know, a pin board of options, and they can kind of suggest things that way. Honestly, I really think that the majority of people working in the industry are very kind of I don't know what the best word for it is, but they're not very tech savvy. Like, some of the bigger directors are, but kind of the run-of-the-mill production designers, they're mostly thinking about budget. They're mostly thinking about, like, okay, you know, what's good enough. I don't think they want that kind of, you know, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they don't understand that good design drives the story, and you know, I mean, I don't know about when you grew up or anything, but if for us, like, watching things like Star Wars and seeing all the different devices in that show, and everything, I mean, it's not like it's very sophisticated, but they did a really good job in the, like, the X-Wing is a classic shape, the TIE Fighter is a classic shape, you know, the big Star Destroyers, they're classic shapes. So they were able to really kind of drive that. And I don't know if that kind of, you know, I think besides Avatar, which I know that James Cameron probably spends a lot of time kind of perfecting things, because he comes from a concept design background, and so does Ridley Scott. So those are two directors that kind of focus on that. I know Denis Villeneuve does. He's really good at that. And so I think there are some people that do focus on that, but you know, there are a lot of people that just don't. Like, I'm really shocked at the designs in Star Trek nowadays that are, like, a lot less compelling than what we used to get before. You know, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a hornet's nest too, because there are, like, very opinionated fans in that world. Okay, I don't know what's happening over here, so I'm going to delete a bunch of polygons just to kind of get back. But yeah, I think the spaceships in Star Trek are kind of like, you know, I think they've kind of we've gotten to a saturation point of, you know, what can be done. So pushing it further, what is going on here? Pushing the shapes further and kind of getting to a more compelling shape for a starship is kind of, I think they did a good job in The Expanse. I think that was kind of interesting, and yeah, I think Star Trek, you know, I think it's kind of, I think it's got people that are too, it's got too many cooks in the kitchen, I guess, is the best way to say it. Too many opinions, too many egos. That's why I kind of had high hopes for that one show, because it seemed like it was like an independent one-off show, but I think it's based on I think it's based on whatchamacallit, so it kind of comes to that with that world. But yeah, it didn't feel like a Star Trek show at all. Like, I didn't feel like I was watching Star Trek. I thought I was watching some other kind of, you know, some other kind of science fiction show. All right. Okay, I think for the most part, I'm pretty happy with this basic blockout, which is all I wanted to do today. And we're at about 8:40, so I will let's see. cable just to arrive back at the same place. Yeah, no, I know. That's a good point. Um, and let's see what else using. Well, so yeah, that's a definite thing with some people. Some people just can't do VR. It's kind of unfortunate. And I know some really good designers. I know some really good artists that just can't do it. And these are like people who've been in the industry for a long time, have a really great design sense, and have a lot of reason to want to do it. But they they get dizzy, and I think it's gotten better. I don't know, but I don't have a Quest. I don't have like, I have a actual old Oculus Rift 2. I have a Rift 1 as well, which I want to sell, but I haven't really gotten around to it. If anybody is interested, let me know. It works great. It's one of those that just has those it has those kind of, it doesn't have a camera to align, so there's these things you got to put up, but it works. I mean, the thing about VR on a PC is that it's fast, and the reason why it didn't work is because you needed a pretty beefy computer at the time to be able to do VR. So nowadays they kind of said, okay, well, this is not catching on because people don't want to get PCs and don't want to, attach it to PCs, and only worked on PCs, didn't work on Macs. So what happened was that, Meta, in their ultimate wisdom, decided that, the way to make this work is if it was a self-contained unit. And if it is a self-contained unit, then it's going to have somewhat limited processing power and battery power and all that. So I don't know. I don't have a Quest. I have never tried sculpting with a Quest, but on the Oculus Rift, it works really well. Like what I do, like my workflow on it is seamless. It's really good. And the other thing also I should mention is that if you are going to do VR, you might give Substance Modeler a try, but you might also want to look into using there's basically, I have this Oculus Rift and there are all these games and great things for it, but I never play them. I never use it for any of that. I just use it for Medium or Adobe 3D or whatever modeler. And the other one that I use, which is also really cool, is Gravity Sketch. So between those two, I think it's kind of worth getting the VR thing just for those for me. And at the time, it was kind of the thing to do. I don't know how much VR is a thing now. I guess it still is in a way, but I think that the investments that people have put in it are starting to kind of, I think they're not paying off. So I don't know how long it will happen. I think the thing that people were hoping would kind of kick it into gear was the Apple Vision Pro, and it's too expensive, and you need a Mac, and I don't know if it's worth it. Oh yeah, I forget that there's a PlayStation VR too. Like, I don't know why they don't have these sculpting apps on there. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where some people just have the vertigo that happens. So, good news is you can still do this stuff without having to do it on VR. And I don't know why there isn't a there isn't a sculpting app. I mean, and even Modeler doesn't allow you to do it outside of VR. So if you wanted to do the thing, my workflow can't be done outside of VR. It will only be done in VR, and I don't know why. I mean, it seems like it shouldn't be that hard of a thing to do, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not the coder, so. But that kind of way of just kind of taking stuff out. I do it in ZBrush a little bit, not the same way, but I can. And this is kind of how I would do it in ZBrush. I would start with like something like a, start with the star here and initialize it as a polysphere like that. And that's good enough. Let's just divide it a few times. Okay, and the way I do it is I just kind of hack at it using the knife curve brush. And before I do that, I always should save, because knife curve has a nasty habit of breaking. But like, if you know, I just kind of start, what's going, oh, delete lower. So get it to somewhere like, you know, this kind of density. That's not too bad. And I also turn Dynamesh on for this, or Sculptress Pro, but let's go ahead and turn yeah, Sculptress Pro. Let's just do that. So I'm going to turn, let's pick, let's say clay tubes or something. Okay, make a bigger brush here. And I'm going to turn Sculptress Pro mode on so I can just do that or do that, right? So, and let's turn this off. Right, so this is kind of a quick way of adding and subtracting shape. It's not kind of adding that whole cube, but it's doing something similar. And then with the knife, you can just kind of keep, you know, do the cutting. So that's kind of a way of doing similar types of work, but not exactly that way. Another kind of method that could work, and this is, you know, just doesn't work in the older versions of ZBrush, but it does in the new version. But what you can do is you can go to, I'll just bring up, let's say, my brush here and just choose a cube, right? And so with the cube, you know, it's dragging is kind of the default option, but you can go into spray here now, and you can just spray the cubes. Now, this is really kind of not doing it right. What you can do is bring that flow way down, and you know, keep the scale at 1, placement 0.5, and you can kind of play around with these. Like even at 1, it's like a lot of cubes, and see, you know, and then you can just have some be subtracted and some be added. But it's basically, this is the concept, but for some reason, and let me see if I can just bring the scale down. Yeah, I think the scale is just the variety of scale. And placement variance, let's bring that down a bit. Let's see if this is any better. Yeah, see, it's still like really big cubes. So here, you know, you just kind of do the additive this way. And then if you want to do the subtractive, it won't work, right? Because you can, I guess you can press Alt and do that. And now these are subtractive. And it probably would be a better idea to separate those out. But if you do it with Alt, it's subtractive like this. You can just separate that out. So here you just go in and say split. Where is it? Split mass points. Okay, so the mass points are additive. So you just start a Boolean here. And let's turn live Boolean on, and this one is a subtraction, right? So this is a subtraction, this is an addition, and if you turn double on, what is going on? Okay, there's this one. Oh, did it split them somehow already Booleaned? That's weird. Yeah, something did not go right. Okay, so this is kind of what we had, and then we added. Okay, it might be okay now. So we have this one, and turn both of this on. Just this one. Okay, so this one turns out to be, oh, that's why. To flip these around. Okay, so this one is the additive, this one is the subtractive. Okay, and what are we getting here? Here we go. Yeah, it's not really, I mean, it is subtracting, but it's not really doing the right job. I think if you Dynamesh them, it might work better. So if I go in here and just Dynamesh this, I'm trying to kind of reverse engineer what they did. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but yeah, I don't think it's going to work. It is kind of working. So basically what I've done here is I've just taken this and I'm going to Dynamesh it at a higher resolution. Let's go for 1000. Turn live boolean off for a minute. This might be, you know, all these cubes kind of trying to Dynamesh them into a volume might be an issue. There might be a better way of doing it, maybe Testimated, but there it is. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so now these are subtractive cubes and these are additive cubes, right? So this is what the initial shape is. These are the additive cubes, and then when I subtract the other cubes from it, this is what I get. Now the thing about doing this in VR is I get this type of thing happening live and while I'm working, so it works better. I don't know if this works as well or at all. So yeah. All right, so back to this. Let's see. Okay, so we're still talking about the Quest. Okay, so this is kind of what we started with. We started with this kind of ZSphere skeleton, and we developed it to, where is our main one? This one, we developed it into this kind of robot here, which is what we are going to work on and develop further for this season. And yeah, I think it's about 8:51. I'll give you guys a last chance to ask any questions or put in requests or do anything. And then we will call today a wrap. Okay, did I keep these legs for some reason? I did. Why? Oh no, these are the hands. Yeah. All right. Where did the hands go? Here they are. Yeah, and the hands are, I mean, the proportions are not human proportions. This thing is definitely, you know, not a human. It's just going to be a robot that is going to be doing a lot of the type of things that are needed for it to do, but that's basically it. It's not a multifunctional robot. It just has a single purpose, which is to, you know, do kind of bodyguard or defense kind of stuff. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I want to base it on that movie that I watched, which was like there was a bank robbery or something going on, and these mechs were there, and there were the cop mechs that came in like in a truck, and then there were the bad guy mechs that were in the bank, and they had like some really cool rifles, and which we'll do a gun in here too. Here I'm just trying to see if I can get a more interesting gesture on this. Here we go. And you know, speaking of VR, like if I wanted to use this in VR, I can always do a render of it. So one of the VR tools, or not VR, but one of the AI tools that I use sometimes is Vizcom, V-I-Z-C-O-M. And for Vizcom, for example, if I wanted to render this, I would just kind of do a toon shader on it. So let's go ahead and grab a toon shader here. Let's see, where are the materials, toon stuff? Where are you? Graphic novel. And I've got quite a few of them. I kind of like using these ones. They're free, and then I can just use this one. Okay. So you just do a quick render, and I'll just pick, you know, you can pick a floor or whatever. And I don't need the dude, so I can just hide the dude. And I don't usually, I turn shadow off. Let's see, let's do a BPR, see what we get. Yeah, so you see how these shadows are there. I mean, they're kind of cool if you're creating a toon type effect, but I usually turn them off too. So it looks as much like a drawing as possible. So I'll go over here to render, and I turn render properties, and I turn shadows off, and I just do a BPR render like this. It happens really fast, and I can do that in multiple angles. So I do one this way and do one maybe this way and whatnot, and then when I load these into Viscom and do a kind of a render, I kind of try to use palettes that are more from my reference or whatever, and then I get stuff that's good. But you know, it takes me maybe 40% of the way there and gives me maybe some ideas, but it's definitely not for me. It's not ready for prime time. But that's, you know, that's one way you can do it. And here, let's go ahead and render out a toon version of this. Let's add a floor. Let's add a plane 3D. To have perspective on, I do. Let's turn that off for now. All right, let's turn perspective on. Let's get 85 degrees. And again, just kind of a rough version of this. So I'm just going to do a rough render. Let's get this to be bigger. So we have that. With this shader, it's funny. If you get to a low angle, it turns the shadow black, which I don't really appreciate, but it's fine. And let's do something like this and do a BPR render. And yeah, so now we kind of have an idea of what it's like. And if we want to find out about shadows or whatever, we can do that too. Do another BPR render. I like doing flat shadows with toon renders just because I get better stuff. And see, I'm getting that same thing here. I'm gonna have to kind of get a taller angle to get that drop shadow on the ground. Or I have to just use a different material. Here we go. All right, so now I basically have that shadow. And by the way, if you don't want to deal with that, it's pretty easy to just make your own toon shader. You just go to, I don't know, Skin Shade 4, for example, and then just go into the shader properties under material. So just go into material, modifiers. And in the modifiers, what you want to do, just go to a different brush here. Just choose a standard brush. And so yeah, so here's Skin Shade 4, here are the modifiers. Excuse me. Sorry. And what I usually do is just go in here for the diffuse curve and click on it. Oh. Actually, why is this not what I want it to be? Did they change this around somehow, or am I just completely whacked out? Yeah, there was a place where I could actually edit the curve in a different way, but for some reason I can't here. What's going on? I don't want to do that. Am I just picking the wrong material here? No, Skin Shade 4. Okay, modifiers. See if I can do it with the startup material, but it's just basically just going into the modifiers and putting a step in the shader, in the diffuse. Yeah, but when I click on this, like, all the curve stuff isn't coming up for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, Skin Shade 4 does a good toon kind of render. I mean, this is kind of good enough. And then if you want to add some borders to this, you can always go into the BPR render passes and add, I'm sorry, BPR filters, and add an outline. So here, let's add an outline, cavity, and let's pump that up. Okay, so that kind of gives you more lines, and same thing with, I usually just add both of these together, outline edge, and pump that up as well. And then I usually go into modifiers and put cavity on for both of these, and that gives me the interior cavity as well. So that's kind of a pretty good kind of tune like render, just with Skin Shade 4. I didn't even like modify anything, and with this you can get pretty low angles, like if you want to do something like that. There you go, you give it a render, there it is. I think it still kind of needs a certain angle, so flat shadows will work. I think that's a flat shadows issue. So here, if I go under, and I kind of, it's in my list of things to do to research this, but if I go into render preferences and turn this off, I think I'm going to get a real shadow. Yeah. So whenever I turn flat shadow on, there's a certain degree after which it just doesn't work. And but just with normal shadows, and you can mess around with normal shadows to get them to be more crisp as well. Right now there's kind of a blur here, but if you don't want that blur, you can always go into the shadow here, BPR shadow, and bring that blur down, do another render. Okay, so this is a little bit crispier. I usually like at least one blur. And then you can also up the resolution to get like more defined shadows. And here I think, as I'm talking about shadows, I should give this a little bit more depth, so we have more room for the shadow to show up. And you can start playing around with the light. You can put it at an angle like this, right? And so you kind of start getting an idea of what this is going to look like, in compositions and with lights and shadows. You can add ambient occlusion if you want, but I think this kind of is a good enough render. All right, so with that, we've kind of come to the end of our stream today. And I, again, want to thank you all who stuck around to watch this live. And if you're not watching this live and have questions, you can always leave them in the comments, or you can reach out to me. The best way to do that is to go into my Instagram and go to Linktree up here, which has all of my websites, and you can just go to my portfolio or whatever, and my email is, I think in my portfolio, my email information is there. So if you click on contact here, you can get a hold of me. And again, these are all mechs that I've done. This one I've done in ZBrush. Very similar kind of way of doing it, and getting these results as I add detail to them. So eventually we'll have something a little bit more detailed like this with what we're working on, and it's just going to be a bipedal robot like this with long arms, and it'll probably have some armor, some missiles, rockets, and all kinds of cool stuff. All right, so with that, I'll just hit another render. I think some people are saying some stuff. Cooper Concept, thank you very much. Come on back. I'm on every other Friday, and I think I finally have the wherewithal and everything together. So I think from this point forward, I'm going to do a Friday for ZBrush Live, and then I'm going to do a Twitch stream, just me, the other Friday. Not ZBrush Live, not connected with Maxon, but just my stuff. And in that one, I might show other tools that I use that are not Maxon products. So you guys might want to tune into that as well. Of course, I will notify you all of the schedule of that and everything as I kind of iron it out. But I think next week is going to be my week of focus on that. Anyway, yep. And everybody, wish you a great evening, a great day, great whatever time of day it is. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next time.